man is in custody following an hours-long standoff in a Tyler neighborhood. It all started before 11 o'clock this morning on Alamo Drive near South Vine Street, and our cameras were there to capture it. That's the sound of tear gas being fired into the house where 44-year-old Curtis Dwayne Clark had barricaded himself. The Smith County Sheriff's Office says this started when the Precinct 1 constable and a deputy constable tried to carry out an eviction at the home. That's when Clark pointed a rifle at the deputy constable. Smith County SWAT team members were called in and could be heard using a loudspeaker asking Clark to surrender. And when that didn't work, they used tear gas that you just saw pouring out of the house. Eventually, Clark was taken into custody around 2:45 this afternoon. He is charged with aggravated assault of a public servant with bonds set at $500,000. Now, during that standoff, Clark posted videos to his personal Facebook page. In one of the video clips, he could be heard saying he was going to go out, quote, like a soldier. Now, the hours-long standoff kept many people out of their homes while Alamo Road was blocked at San Jacinto and also at Vine. At one point, we watched police escort some residents to their home so they could access necessary medicine. Tonight, the road is back open and folks are returning to their homes in that neighborhood.